What happens when Harris, played by Mendeecees, is hit with the truth more hard than anything else? It never occurred to him that he would have to answer this question in a way that no one had expected. After learning through a DNA test that his son was his biological father, Mendeecees was horrified. He was stunned to learn of Yandy's adultery, which caused him to re-evaluate all of his presumptions about his family and future. What he found was far more sad than anyone could have imagined. Mendeecees is forced to confront the truth during this emotional breakdown, and you will be astounded by the revelations that follow. Pay close attention because what comes next will absolutely upend everything and is not simply a betrayal. For a long time, Mendeecees Harris and Yandy Smith have been two of the most popular couples in the reality TV industry. When their romance initially surfaced on Love and Hip Hop New York years ago, their journey began. Looked invincible, and their admirers observed them navigate a variety of challenges, including M's legal troubles and the highs and lows of their mixed family. Together, they navigated the highs and lows of life, with Yandy regularly standing by M's through thick and thin in ways that appealed to audiences. They came to represent perseverance and showed that love could overcome adversity. But when Moses learned, it was a pivotal moment in their relationship that would eventually put the months-long trust they had developed to the test. Since he had already experienced so much, the stakes couldn't have been greater, and Yandy couldn't bear the emotional strain of the test, which was more than simply a medical process. It was a reflection of the brittle trust that had started to fracture between them. There was no denying the emotional strain that surrounded this exam, and it set the stage for the heartbreaking disclosures that were about to occur. As though time had frozen, Mendeecees Harris sat there with a stunned expression on his face as he read the DNA test findings. He was unable to grasp the truth for a moment because his heart was heavy with anguish and uncertainty, and his thoughts were racing. It hit him like a ton of bricks. The child he had been raising as his own was not biologically his, and the test revealed that he had never expected such a betrayal. There was more to it than a sheet of paper. The shock of fatherhood. He had always believed in the family they had built together and had always trusted Yandy. So the news was a huge shock to him. It wasn't only about the DNA now that the foundation was crumbling under him. The ramifications of this discovery were extensive. It was a betrayal that would affect the dynamics of their entire family, not just Mendeecees' personal life. Moses was overcome with sorrow as he processed the news. How could this have happened? I trusted her and the family we created. The exam focused on his relationship with Yandy and their kids, the sacrifices he made, and the years of love they had shared. His face was etched with skepticism, and his voice cracked as he spoke, the pain evident in his words. More important than the DNA test itself was the emotional toll it would have on him and his family in the future as a life he thought he knew was being unraveled. As though the disclosure wasn't enough, Mendeecees soon faced a more serious accusation. In addition to the betrayal, Yandy had always believed that their relationship was solid, so hearing of his adultery shocked me much. He never imagined that it might. Something wasn't quite right, and Mendeecees started to piece everything together. He had seen how Yandy had changed, how aloof she had grown, and how she would occasionally vanish for hours on end without giving a reason. He initially tried to brush it off as stress or life's obligations, but as the nagging sensation intensified, he finally couldn't get rid of the thought that there had been a missing. Mendeecees was overcome with emotion after finding unquestionable evidence of Yandy's adultery in the form of messages, chats, and other communications. He felt the shock of it all. How could his children's mother, a person he trusted, betray him like this? Fury, betrayal, and perplexity, both Yandy's side of the story and the adultery, stemmed from his awareness that the life he had built with Yandy was based on deceit. The narrative remained mysterious for a long time. Rumor had it that she had acted because of unsolved difficulties between them, the pressures in their relationship, and the constant public attention. Though it was unclear if this was a show of weakness or a more serious issue in their relationship, Yandy made some admissions about feeling emotionally distant and disconnected, which may have led to her behavior. In response to the charges, Yandy displayed a combination of defensiveness and regret. Although she expressed regret for the pain she'd have caused me, she also made it clear that she did not believe her behavior was the only factor in their marriage's dissolution. It wasn't one-sided, she added, suggesting that there were more significant issues at work that led to her infidelity. We were both in pain in different ways, and maybe I had made mistakes, she said. But the truth was that Meese was caught completely off guard. His faith in Yandy had been shattered, and his entire world had been turned upside down. The affair was only one aspect of the years of dishonesty and the emotional toll it took on him. Once the dust settled, the couple was forced to work through the broken pieces of their relationship with no way out. Yandy's relationship ended with him drowning in despair and betrayal as a result of the devastating aftermath for Meese's from the DNA test findings and the charges of infidelity. The situation was daunting, even though he had built a life with Yandy and had complete faith in her. Their relationship had been destroyed now that the truth was known. The hurt was difficult for Mendeecees to process. He felt conflicted between affection for his family and a deep sense of betrayal as a result of the emotional scars caused by the paternity test. In addition to Yandy's infidelity, the revelations caused a flurry of doubt and hurt. As more details about their private lives were revealed, the public's reaction simply served to fan the flames. After being seen as a representation of strength and solidarity, Mendeecees and Yandy were closely scrutinized and criticized by both supporters and opponents. Their reputation took a big hit, with many people questioning whether their relationship was real and some admirers feeling sorry for him because they thought he was a victim who had been betrayed. Despite the fact that some people considered Yandy responsible for her actions, social media was a swarm of comments, with many fans expressing their anger. As well as anger at Yandy's behavior, others supported her by highlighting the strains they both experienced and the problems in their relationship. But the controversy also affected their family relationships. Their children, who had been raised in a fairly stable household, were now subjected to the consequences of their parents' issues. And it's unclear how much the children understood at the time how emotionally taxed their family was. Friends and family members took sides, unable to ignore the public drama that had emerged for Mendeecees, leaving extended family members divided. He was particularly affected by the consequences since, on top of being wounded by Yandy's treachery, he now had to cope with the public's opinion. His supporters began to distrust him, and the misery of the situation was compounded by the strain to keep up his public image. His role in ending the relationship, although Yandy received support and words of encouragement from some of her followers, she also received criticism. Some admirers expressed sympathy for her and recognized the difficulties in their relationship, but others were critical and accused her of betraying Mendeecees and their family. The social media, there was an intense buzz surrounding the news as fans and followers used hashtags to examine every facet of the situation. Everyone was watching the couple attentively, and there was a lot of scandal. There was a mixed reaction from the public. Some people felt that Mendeecees had been deceived and supported him. One thing was certain, despite the fact that some took a more nuanced approach, doubting the dynamics of their relationship and the necessity of the public revelations. The drama had drawn public attention, and the DNA test and the infidelity revelations would have an impact on the public. Mendeecees was emotionally impacted by the event for a long time, and while his response was strong, it was reasonable considering the context. He was devastated by the stunning discovery of Yandy's adultery after being betrayed by hearing that his son Pat was being investigated. The core of any relationship is trust, and for Mendeecees, that trust had been destroyed in an instant. The DNA test findings weren't the only thing that hurt him. More than simply a paternity problem was exposed by the DNA test findings. They also exposed long-suspected breaks in Mendeecees and Yandy's marriage. Although the paternity question served as the impetus, the breakdown of communication and trust seemed to be the underlying problem. The years of emotional investment, love, and trust that now seemed meaningless to have his family, his life, and his heart called into question were a devastating blow, and his reaction reflected the magnitude of that infidelity. A larger issue that had been boiling beneath the surface was indicated by this. not just a single error or untruth between them, physical or emotional. But adultery was an indication of deeper problems in their marriage, and the public disclosures just touched the tip of the iceberg. It not only caused greater emotional suffering, but also caused people to question if their relationship had been founded on a solid foundation or on illusions that were now falling apart in the eyes of the general public. It is clear that the situation between Yandy and me is not unique to the situation between other celebrities and infidelity. Public scandals have put many famous couples in danger of being destroyed. The transparency of the emotions at play and the public's capacity to track the collapse at every turn, however, are different in their situation. In the realm of celebrities, private issues are often turned into content that the public can view. The same thing happened. Now that his private anguish was being made public, Mendeecees' emotional toll was increased. The situation highlights, in many ways, the pressures of being in a high-profile relationship and the difficulty of maintaining a private life in the public eye. Adultery in relationships, whether or not celebrities are involved, has important wider repercussions since it often reveals more serious issues in a marriage, like neglect. Mendeecees and Yandy are forced to confront both the adultery and the growing emotional distance between them as a result of the public disclosures. It serves as a sad reminder that problems can arise in even the most seemingly ideal relationships, and that sometimes the foundation deteriorates before the harm is done. Inability to communicate, unfulfilled emotional demands, or unresolved personal issues. It's difficult to predict what the future holds for Mendeecees and Yandy, but the emotional roller coaster he's been through after learning about Yandy's infidelity and the paternity test has completely upended Mendeecees' life. The betrayal and pain are still raw. Will their relationship come to an end as a result of this, or might it serve as a springboard for reconciliation? Their relationship has been ruined by the trust that once underpinned it, and nothing will ever be the same. The next stage of their life will be determined by their future paths after being broken. But the most crucial query is this treachery too much to handle, or should Mendeecees forgive Yandy and try to go on? Kindly leave your thoughts in the space provided below. First, let's talk about whether love can transcend betrayal or whether some scars are too deep to be healed.